today's Black History Month profile, I'd like to talk to you about a woman that some have called the mother of modern medicine. Henrietta Lacks was born to poor parents in Virginia on August 1st, 1920. After losing her mother at the age of 4, Henrietta was located to live with her uncle, where she learned to farm tobacco plants, eventually met her husband, and she started a family. In search of better work, Henrietta moved with her family to a neighborhood in Baltimore, Maryland. Sadly, while seeking treatment at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore for abdominal pain, Henrietta was diagnosed with a terribly aggressive form of cervical cancer. She died around 8 months after her diagnosis at the age of 31 on October 4th, 1951. So what exactly made this woman so remarkable? Well, depending on who you ask, Henrietta Lacks is still alive today, and likely everyone you know is in some way indebted to her. You see, while Henrietta was receiving treatment at Johns Hopkins, researchers took a sample of her tumor to Dr. George Guy, head of tissue culture research. As we science teachers review proper experimentation with our students, you have learned that controlled experiments are often key to scientific discoveries. To run controlled experiments on human cells, scientists would need a cell line to last generation after generation. Unfortunately, there had been no way to keep human cells growing outside of the body to perform such experiments. That is, until Henrietta's tumor was biopsied. To Dr. Guy's amazement, Henrietta Lacks' tumor cells were actually growing and dividing in his lab. He started to subculture the cells, and they continued to thrive. This was seemingly impossible, as most cells only divide about 50 times before they undergo programmed cell death, but Henrietta's cells kept growing and dividing. Dr. Guy named this first ever line of immortal human cells HeLa, after the patient that they came from, Henrietta Lacks. Knowing just how important these cells were, Dr. Guy mailed cultures of HeLa cells to labs all over the planet. Thanks to Henrietta's amazingly potent cells, we have countless cures, patents, and discoveries. HeLa cells were sent into space before any humans to study the effects of leaving our atmosphere on human tissue. HeLa cells were the first living cells that scientists were able to successfully clone. HeLa cells lead to many medicines and vaccines for a huge variety of diseases: mumps, measles, Ebola, tuberculosis, and HIV, to name a few. Scientists were able to create the first polio vaccine shortly after receiving HeLa cells, basically ridding the world of this terrible disease. Many of you know that certain strains of the human papillomavirus, or HPV, has been linked to cervical cancer. Ironically, Henrietta's cervical cancer tumor cells led to the creation of the HPV vaccine. While working with HeLa cells, scientists also developed a novel DNA stain which allowed them to view chromosomes. This is how we discovered that we have 46 of them. While using HeLa, scientists discovered a crucial enzyme named telomerase that allows cancer cells to break the normal cell's reproduction rules. The list goes on, as there have been hundreds of thousands of scientific experiments using Henrietta's cells. All of this research has undoubtedly enhanced our lives and the lives of those we love. The story of Henrietta's amazing cells is not without controversy, however. Since Hopkins distributed the original HeLa line free of charge, many companies have profited from Henrietta's cells. As of today, trillions of dollars have been made from those original tumor cells. Even though it was protocol at the time, you may be shocked to know that neither Henrietta nor her family even knew that her cells were harvested. Many of Henrietta's family still live in poverty in Baltimore area. Upon learning of the amazing line of HeLa cells and the unfortunate injustices that surround Henrietta's family, Rebecca Skloot wrote an amazing book called The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. I strongly suggest you give it a read. Henrietta Lacks died way back in 1951, but her cells are still a cornerstone of modern medicine. Although she died before any of these amazing advancements were made, her legacy continues to grow posthumously in the form of memorial lectures, scholarships, and local outreach programs in her hometown of Baltimore. Most importantly, Henrietta Lacks' legacy will continue to grow due to the many scientific advancements scientists are still making thanks to her incredible HeLa cells.